Good day, everyone. Welcome to Carpo's channel, or Joshua's channel. I guess I was Carpo719. I guess I can change that now. I got stuck using that screen name on my other channel because it was my old address. I've been asked that a few times. One of my old addresses was 719 2nd Street, and so it ended up just being kind of a lucky number I used. And I won't get into the stories about 719 and how it comes up at all these strange times. This video is going to be about social media, including YouTube, which has become a social media in its own right. It's a YouTube, it's a video sharing platform, which wouldn't be considered really social media, I guess. Facebook, MySpace, these are the original sites. And yes, I had a MySpace account when I was in my 20s and our band had a MySpace account for our band. It was the greatest thing ever. We could share our stuff. People could click on our music, share our links with other people. It was wonderful. Here's the thing, I'm 42. When the internet really started taking off was in the mid-90s, so I was about 20 years old. When my wife and I moved in together to our first place, it was about 97, 98, and the air compressor hasn't turned on in like forever, and it'll always come on right when I'm in the middle of doing something. And this is how my life goes, and my videos go, anytime I try to make a video I get interrupted and whatnot. And I'm going to try to stay on topic here because this video specifically deals with a few notes that I took here about this adpocalypse that's going on within social media, within YouTube and other platforms, where basically the users are saying, hey, you guys are catering to advertisers more than to the people, and we're sick of it. Instead of looking at Facebook where you see a few posts of your family and friends and what they've done, it's instead things that they've liked or liked in the past. The algorithms are picking out what they think you want to see rather than a chronological feed of what's actually going on. But worse than that, it was invaded by people who, have 1,000 friends and want to be your friend. You've never met this person in your life. And as a YouTuber, I get friend requests on Facebook from people who, enjoyed my YouTube video and they want to, be friends on Facebook. That's fine. But you also get the person who is, and no offense to anyone out there who may be like this, but somebody who has like 3,000 or 4,000 friends and is a member of like 963 groups. I usually decline, because I figure this person isn't serious about using social media to actually communicate. They're either trying to sell stuff through the platform, or they just, are obsessed with more friends, more likes, more friends. It's very difficult to gauge. And as a vendor, I was getting all these Indonesian kratom vendors who were like, of course, trying to be friends and be in my group, and they'd try to sell to my customers and whatnot. It's a mess out there. So from the point of view of the user of these sites, such as myself and you out there, most people, it seems that the advertisers have really got one over on the people. So after what happened to my channel, I was very curious about what's really going on right now, because things change so quickly. You can make a video today talking about what's going on in social media, and in 6 months it's totally irrelevant. I mean, it changes so fast. Well, the more I searched about marketing and business, the more I started finding that the advertisers are actually the most upset right now, even more than the people, especially over the past 5 or 6 months, because believe it or not, some of these sites have been trying to clean up the spam and unwanted ads. And all the small creators who have their own businesses got swept up in that on, say, YouTube here, where I had my, they claimed that I was spamming just because they have no particular reason. They say it could be spam, unwanted content, or hateful content. They don't even care. The small guys have to go because there's too many people out there. Well, I'd never heard this term until this morning when I was digging deep, and I find out that the advertisers are really upset because the influencers are going by the wayside. It's like influencer. I had to check that term out. Influencers are very simply people on social media who have a large following, who sponsor or advertise for a company, such as saying, oh, by the way, I really like this cereal, whatever it might be. It could be as simple as wearing a Nike shirt. And if you'll notice, you'll notice in certain videos if a person is trying to advertise something, it becomes quite obvious. Product placement is something we all grew up with. You know, I grew up in the 80s. I watched E.T. Even then, I knew that they were, you know, what they were trying. They were selling Reese's, and it's like every company wants to get their ads out there, and that makes sense. You want to sell your product, of course. But there's different types of marketing tactics. And the one with influencers is taking people who have channels that may be very popular and having them do ad placement. Or it's most common on, say, social media like Instagram or Facebook. Well, now I guess what's happening with the marketers are finding out that the people are creating fake accounts, and what's worse is you can buy followers. And on something like, I think it's not Instagram, but it's either Instagram or the other one, I'm not sure, but they have something called a verified. It's a blue check where people who, you know, have a lot of followers and have a very serious, who are considered, I don't know, it's like their red carpet. You can't just go, you can't get a blue check. Only certain people get them. But there's these people who work within the company and others who did before, who are selling these checks for $1,000, basically saying, you give me $1,200 and I'll put a blue check on your account to show that you're more important than you really are, or more trustworthy, reliable, whatever it may be. Now, I don't use these platforms. I don't use Instagram. I don't use the other one. I totally kind of brain farted on it, but the whole idea of fake followers and then reposting and sharing over and over and over and getting tons of likes on things by buying likes and buying friends, it's made social media a joke. And so now, not only are the advertisers unsure of how to advertise, because nobody's watching television anymore, I mean, very few people, but there's something called ad blindness. It's one thing when you have commercials blaring in your living room, you know, it's hard to ignore. I haven't had cable in like 7 years or something. I can't stand it. I can't stand ads. Well, somebody had posted something about how, you know, people have ad blindness now, where they're not even seeing the ads on the page. I purposefully been that way for years. But what more, ad blockers are something that they thought, well, nobody's going to... Basically, one guy wrote an article saying people are going to be too lazy. Nobody, you know, they'll be too lazy to actually install the software. And he was saying how wrong he was, but because of how many people use ad blocker. There's no way that I could live without ad block on my computer. I get tons of ads still using ad block on Firefox. And if I log in to, you know, I get a bunch of spam and junk and pop-up windows, I'll tell you, if you're young today, if you'd grown up in the days that, you know, that I did with the early internet, for all those out there who remember real pop-up ads, if you think the ads are bad now, I mean, back then it was horrible. You might get 20 pop-up ads on like one site, but it was a whole separate box that would pop up, and if your computer was slow and you had dial-up, then your computer would lag for like up to 5 minutes while all these stupid ads downloaded, and you couldn't close the page. So things have kind of streamlined, but in this process, advertisers are saying, how do we get our product out there? And I say, if it's a good product, it should sell itself. Of course, that doesn't mean people will stop advertising. No way. I'm an exception to the rule when it comes to business. I just can't promote products that I guess I don't 100% stand behind. That's why it's been so hard for me to find my niche. You know, I've done a couple jobs working for like my father-in-law once, doing air duct cleaning, and I didn't believe that the machines we were using were really completely doing the job right. And so many people have the mentality of just get in there, get the customers' money, and get out. And I was end up turning down clients saying, no, you should get it done this way, it'd be more efficient. I'm too honest, and so therefore I end up costing myself money. But in my heart, I know I'm doing the right thing. That's what matters to me. I would rather just, you know, try to get by than to actually rip someone off purposefully. I just cannot do that. But there are so many people who don't really do it purposefully to be that way, but rather because they justify it to themselves with, well, everybody's got to eat. And this is what happens with creators on, say, YouTube, who fall into the trap of, well, I should get paid for what I'm doing, and so, yeah, I'm going to put ads on my channel. Fine, if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But then all of a sudden, these companies will start saying, hey, I noticed you have a lot of subscribers. Hey, if I send you our product, will you review it on your channel? And of course, it's hard to turn down that free stuff. I've had a few emails from people like that. I had one company that wanted to send me one of their big vaporizer units for, I think, cannabis. I'm pretty sure it was cannabis because it was and they said if you try it and review it, and I told them I'll review it, but if I don't like it, I'm going to say as much. But I think what I said originally was I might review it if I decide that it's a good product and I enjoy it, but I'm not going to make you any promises. I never ended up, dealing with them because I have this. It's maybe kind of it's not an arrogance or stubborn nature. It is, but it's more of, yeah, it's stubborn. It's not arrogant, though. It's more of me just saying, hey, I've always tried to live with honesty, and I'm not going to let my integrity be compromised by somebody just to get free stuff. I've been through enough in my life to know that no amount of free stuff will make me happy. So even if I found out, hey, I could fake and bullshit with this ad and make millions of dollars a year, sure, it's tempting. I know that people, see the potential in that. I guess for every ad that someone sponsors or every company someone sponsors, for every dollar they spend in advertising to what they call organic social media, which doesn't exist anymore. That organic social media was like, I'm trying this new coffee I found. I really like it. I'm going to go post and tell my friends about it. That product is shared. Now that's done honestly and legitimately. So other companies are saying, well, what if we just poke and prod them a little bit and say, hey, we'll give you a little bit of incentive if you say that this is good. And I've seen it so much on YouTube with really good people. And, people who don't want to harm anyone or lie. They just have to convince themselves these products are so good. And you can see in their eye that they don't even know the product. They don't even try it. This would be like a woodworker if I started a woodworking YouTube channel and then all these companies wanted to send me their saw blades and tools to try. Sure, I'd try them out, but, I'd feel stupid as hell sitting there saying, oh, I use a DeWalt for this and this and this, and putting on this fake persona. And celebrities have been doing it since celebrities have existed. But when it comes to the average person who just has organic, real followers, that's something you should be proud of. If you have a lot of subscribers or a lot of followers, be proud of that. But be truthful, be honest, be straightforward. Don't just make stuff up and buy into the ads, because this is what we've done to ourselves. This is why we're in the situation we're in here, where we can't even find real... you don't know who's telling you the truth. If you go to a YouTube video to say, oh, I wonder what's the best of this product, there's always somebody trying to tell you that this brand is the best because. And to find, there are still some organic areas to find these things, such that haven't been infiltrated yet, that are working on it, like Reddit, things like that, but other blogs and smaller places where people actually share information or ideas. Even the old-fashioned word of mouth, which is still pretty popular. Emails, texts, things like that. But social media really takes a majority of it. Everything is changing really quickly right now in that world. To me, I'm a little bit appalled by what I see. I just can't. The thing is, if you're getting negativity in your say Facebook feed, of course you're going to want to shut it down. For me, I rarely share anything except for maybe a couple words of wisdom or a quote or an idea, or to share with my friends and family something that I'm working on, a project. But, when it becomes your daily life and you're consumed by it, it's so easy to be enamored by all the awesome, beautiful, shiny things that you see on there and think, oh, I want that. And my mindset's different than yours and everyone else's. We're all different. In my mind, I think, oh, people aren't that stupid. But then I see the ads and I say, they are that stupid. If they weren't, then people wouldn't spend the money on these things. They wouldn't spend billions of dollars advertising if it didn't work. It's really hard to sell me something because I don't need anything. I buy what I want or the things that I think that I might enjoy, but I'd rather shop at Goodwill for my clothing, so I haven't bought new clothes in decades. It's not my thing. I'm very, and that's not one of those snooty arrogance like, oh, I buy used stuff. It's like, I really don't need things, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy things. It's just that specific things, they want to tell you that you need specific things. I mean, just look at the lines for the iPhones. I mean, I wouldn't stand in line for a phone ever, let alone an iPhone, but that's to each his own. They're convinced it's the greatest and the best, and that's the next thing. And the truth is, most people are buried with their face in their phone. It really does suck, because whenever I hear that, I try to stand up for the newer generation coming up, as well as the older ones that are still using, that are now using phones. And everybody says, hey, people have their faces in their phone, and I'm like, it's not that bad. It's just, but it is. It is. And I sit there and on my phone and I'm reading, like, informative things. I'm always trying to educate myself, and I feel guilty for sitting there on my phone, reading. But then I realized that so many people are just clicking through just Facebook posts all day long, and they're being marketed to. I think making businesses pay for their ads is a great idea, like with what Facebook's doing. They kind of made it harder for advertisers to do that, and they claim that they're going to clean it up and make it more family and friends. So some of the advertisers are upset about that, but they're still going to make $1 billion, I'm sure. And it's just figuratively, probably a lot more. I think making a business pay for these things, pay for, their ads is a start. But the question I have is, where does that money go? If you have a social media platform that is for the people to share their information, and you start collecting money from advertisers that are going to advertise to all the people who use that platform, how can you make that, say that money, it should be donated to charity? You don't need that much money to run Facebook. We know how much it costs to really run these things. I feel the same way about YouTube. If they're going to charge for, if they're going to do the advertising thing, so be it. But YouTube wouldn't exist without the small creators. Otherwise, it'd just be another television channel. So what happened was YouTube needed the small creators to get where it is now. But now that they have more than they need, they're just shuffling everybody off one by one. And it makes you kind of lose faith in the future of sharing information on the internet, But I guess mostly I wanted to specifically talk about, on this one, the ad fatigue thing and the fake reposts and shares, and the idea that so many people are actually influencers. And that word actually kind of bothered me, the fact that was the term that's used, influencers. There's so many people out there who are just average, a normal average person who started a channel or, an Instagram, whatever it might be, and they're sharing all this stuff. They start getting a lot of friends and develop this organic following, and then they actually, advertise a product. That's one thing. But now we have these fake accounts and fake people. I read that, I think it was 80 million fake Facebook accounts. 80 million. I was like, damn, that's far reaching. So I guess as a synopsis to what I really wanted to get out was the fact that, organic social media is dead, but we can bring it back. I know that people have said, oh, there's a new platform. It's called MeWe. And I checked it out, or WeMe or whatever. And I know some people are going there. I checked it out and I looked, and it just seems like it's catered mostly to millennials. And I don't mean that offensively. I just mean that, I'm looking for a place where I can share my information, my philosophies and ideas, and people will actually care. I don't want to give up in the types of ideas that I like to share and promote. I'm looking to improve life. I'm not a life coach. I'm no superhero out there telling you how to live your life or what herbs you should take or this is the best thing for you. I'm a human being that has rough times and good times, and I try to share during the good times to say this is what I found works to get through this craziness. I have no illusions that this is a difficult world to live in. I'm not blaming the advertisers, and I'm not just pointing the finger at YouTube saying, you guys. I realize that it's a vast new world out there. It really is. Watching this change over the last 20 years has just been absolutely amazing. And fortunate that I've been with my wife the whole time. Actually, this will be our 20th year together. We met in '98 during Christmas. So in that time, I can remember all the things that we went through, watching Colbert, do his show, and then hearing he was going to switch to late night, and, all this stuff before the internet was really, the place to go watch stuff. Back then, you couldn't watch YouTube videos of music you wanted to hear or shows, it was like everything was copyrighted, so it was just people. And if you wanted to download a movie, it would take like 2 days because of the dial-up. But this is like a crazy time to be alive. And watching it all unfold, I'm just, which way do I go? One day I want to completely abandon social media altogether and just say, I'm just going to live my life and not focus on it. The next day I say, well, it's not like I'm addicted to Facebook. You know, I may be on there 10 minutes a day. I'll go on there, I think, twice a day maybe, and leave a comment, check a couple messages. I disabled all of my notifications as well as Messenger, because every time I got on there, people would try to, you know, message me, and I'm like, look, I'm just here to check on something, you know. And I found like certain events, they only post on Facebook. And so in order to get to know when these things are going to happen and tickets are going to go on sale, I'm kind of forced into it. You know, justification or not, that's just how it is. So, you know, we're all part of it is my point. We're all using social media, and we're all responsible to make sure that it's used properly for the people, you know. And I guess my message would be to keep an eye out. Know when you're being marketed to. If you turn off a video and walk away thinking, oh, I want one of those, then, you know, really consider the source, and consider whether it's something you actually need or something that they made look pretty and flashy. Because, you know, it's not about what we buy or where we spend our money. It is, but it's about showing that we're conscientious and aware consumers, you know. Because the way things are going right now, we're not, and we're all part of the problem. It's difficult. It's difficult. So, peace and love, all that shit. Talk to y'all later.